Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast. And today I'm so excited for you to meet Shā Sparks. She is this energetic catalyst and fearless communicator who's going to spark leaders to find, use, and share their voice through her coaching, her podcasts, her publications, so that you can go from fear to fired up about your life and business. She is an author. She's a certified fearless living coach, trainer, master practitioner of NLP. She's got her own podcast, book project. Thank you so much, Shā, for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. And after listening to you, I'm like, wow, I'm busy. I didn't realize that until just now. So
it's amazing when we're following our passions, how we don't even see it as work. We're like, oh, wow.
Right. And then there's so many multi-dimensional, multi-layers that, it makes sense to us, and to other people, it's like, that doesn't make any sense. And it's like, well, it makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tell us a little about your story. What brought you here? What was your journey?
Yeah. So I was in an abusive relationship for a long time. And when I got out, I really started to dive in and peel away the layers of the onion that we all are, and heal a layer at a time. And as I started to heal, things started to shift for me. And one of those things that shifted was how I spoke to myself. And then that shifted in how I spoke to others, especially my family. And I was able to really speak to them in a way that was non-judgmental, non-critical, non-shaming, not blaming, and really creating a safe place to have a conversation. So I started to ask my dad if he was trying to articulate asking me to do a task for him, something for him, or if he was trying to manipulate me into doing it.
Oh, that's
right.
big.
Huge, right? Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you said that to your dad? What
did he say?
Right. What did he say?
It probably got him thinking too, because so many times we don't even realize how we're coming across.
Well, and that's just it. Thank goodness I had the intuition to just come from a space of love rather than from a space of being that critique of how he was showing up, because then that could have led to an argument. Instead, I was like, no, really, Dad, are you trying to ask me to do something, or are you trying to manipulate me? And his response was, what? Like, I don't even know what that is. And he had no idea that he was showing up as in that form. And so when I explained to him that what he had just said to me sounded as if there was a question there, but it wasn't actually a question. Never asked a question. What he had always done was say, I need this. And then the underlying tone was, if you didn't do it, I would withhold my love from you.
That's big.
And as a child, that's the exact pattern, what happened over and over and over again. And as I was explaining to him, I said, Dad, that's why I was in the relationship that I was in, because it was familiar. And I didn't even realize that's what he was doing until now. And now I realize that that's how you and Mom and Grandma, to be honest, and my brothers had always been as well. It's a learned behavior.
Absolutely. Generational.
Right. And it's familiar. So of course, if that's all we know, of course, that's what we're going to be in. And he was like, wow, I had no idea. And so then I started to, at the time of my career, I was a hairstylist. I started to share that with my clients. And they're like, so how did you figure this out? And I said, well, it really boils down to, realized that I myself was unwilling to say what I mean mean what I say and not say it meanly.
Mm-hmm.
I was really good and very conditioned to be sarcastic because that's what we were in our house. I was really good at masking what was really going on. I was really good at manipulating. I really was not good at asking for what it is I needed because I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know how to ask for how to get my needs met.
Right.
And I said, what happens in your world? And so I would talk to them and they're like, oh my God, Shay, I don't do that either. And they're like, I had no idea until you pointed that out. That's exactly what I've been doing. And they said, well, so what'd you do? And I said, I had to practice being vulnerable. And at the time, just like my dad couldn't say manipulation, I couldn't say vulnerable. I was
Mm.
stumbling over it, blah, 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 blah. And finally, I said I just had to be okay with being uncomfortable. And that uncomfortableness will immediately go away as soon as you say it. But it's the fear that stops us is what we have to push through and move through. And so I started to do that. And when I shared with them, they would then go away 4 to 6 weeks for their next appointment. They would come back and it was a normal, how are you? What's new? What's going on? What's happening? And they're like, oh my gosh, because of what you just told me, I am now practicing that with my team at work or my boss or my kids, my parents, my spouse, and it's shifted our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, have you really, like, have you considered being a coach? Have you considered writing a book, starting a podcast, being a motivational speaker? And I was like, well, I mean, kinda. But in the back of my mind, there's this imposter going, yeah, you really can't do that.
You were already doing it though.
And you're right. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't see it. I was being me, which is who I had been my entire life, was I've just showing up being me, doing my thing. And coaching from behind the chair my entire career. And so as they were telling me this, something clicked one day and I was like, wait, what if they're right? What
Mm-hmm.
if I just borrow their confidence that they have in me? Because here's someone for the first time in my life speaking life into me. My household didn't do that growing up. So I thought, well, what if they're right? The worst thing that can happen is I learn new skills. Who cares, right? And then I still do what I'm doing. I haven't lost the skills that I already have. And so I went ahead and really looked into what it would be like to be a coach, what do I need to do to start a podcast, and started to learn and take classes and get certified and trains and training and all these things. And it's like just profound how naturally it shifted.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was able to retire from being in the salon 2 years ago and really focus fully on all the other things because I did it slowly. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't jump the full in and go, okay, I'm going to change my life. I really focused on how can I methodically do this in a way that honors me,
Mm-hmm.
honors my clients, because most of my clients I had for 25 years,
Wow.
and still be able to honor, my everything.
Yeah.
And so it just worked out 2 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love that you almost kind of practice what you preach as well, as far as, you're not just making quick decisions and diving in, you're slowly, intentionally listening to your voice, you know, changing your life in a way that's going to be sustainable, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
You're making that transformation and then kind of almost letting the ripple effects make the difference instead of, pushing through and fighting for it.
Well, I love that you said that, the ripple effects, because what I learned is that when we're kind to ourselves first, because that's really what this inner voice is. I had learned I was not kind. I had this negative, this voice that was so negative that it was like hurting me and disempowering me. And I thought, well, that's why I'm depressed. Hello. It's the stuff I say to myself. It's not anything that's happening to me. I mean, that is bad too, but it's really what I say to myself that makes me depressed. So what can I do to shift out of this? So, as I started to do that and with my own life, that became the ripple effect in my community. It was like, wow, now our conversations were different. Now people were showing up different. And they probably weren't. It was just that I had started to be different. And so I
Right.
started to notice different things, right?
Mhm.
And that's honestly how it all kind of shifted.
Yeah. And just even to notice more of those positive things, probably, for whatever reason, it seems like we're so pre programmed to focus on the negative. We can have a great day and one thing happens, and that's where our attention and our focus stays. But like you said, you start to hear conversations differently. You start to internalize people's statements in a way that's not as personal and that's not necessarily disrupting your inner peace.
Right. And, I love, you mentioned inner peace. So I didn't even know what that was. I was in survival mode my whole life. So it was like, wow, what is this calmness, this stillness, this peace that you said? It was profound to actually experience and then be able to be still and listen to that, the Holy Spirit or the intuition, whatever you want to call it, of what's next.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from a place of doing it out of freedom, and that was with curious exploration, and go, got it. So what's next is the door will open for me, and I'll just go walk in with curious exploration and go, okay, what am I supposed to learn here? Who am I supposed to meet? Who am I supposed to connect with? What am I supposed to take away? And then go on to the next thing. And it was like, as soon as I started to shift how I showed up and shifted how I showed up to new things,
Mm-hmm.
and that vulnerable piece going, hey, I'm new here. I'm not sure why I'm here, but I'm here. And just being open to whatever came my way. It was amazing, the connections and the conversations and the friends that I made from that.
Yeah. Well, because it opens you almost to those things because you're not on the defense. You don't have
Right.
that wall up. You don't have that guard from all that negativity. It does open and bring in so much more.
Yeah. The defense. Yeah. That's literally, yeah. Yeah. I said I had a wall built so high it was a castle.
Wow.
I lived in the tower of the castle
Oh,
with a moat
geez.
even around it. Yeah.
And it's hard to find our own ways out of it, let alone anybody else finding their way into us.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you help other people on that journey, what are some of the starting points you have? What would be kind of that was one or two questions to get them to start seeing, because everyone has their own story, everyone
Yeah.
has their obviously own barricade, so to speak, of what was created for them. How do you help individually people navigate that?
Well, I love this question because oftentimes we don't know where to start, right? And that's kind of where I was at when it first happened. My ex was in a car accident, and I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And I did have a really great counselor that a friend of mine had given me his number 4 years prior,
Mm-hmm.
and the number stayed in my wallet, and I would see it, and I would go, one day I'm going to use this number. One day I'm going to use this number. So the first thing is to seek support.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's, paying a therapist or a counselor or a coach, maybe it's just inviting people that you love and trust that are safe to
Mm-hmm.
support you in in what you're going through. Number two, and then three, the question that really like solidifies everything for me is, and I still ask myself that this today is, what is it that I don't know that I need to know in order to move forward?
That's a
And
hard one.
right? Because
How do
often,
I know what I don't know?
right,
Because I don't know
oftentimes we're
it.
so focused on well, I know this,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you look at it from a map's point of view, right? So you know your route to work every day and you drive that route. But do
Mm-hmm.
you know that outside of that 5 mile radius or whatever it is, 25-mile radius, there's a whole nother world.
Right.
And if you don't go explore it, you have no idea what's out there. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really, I think that was the touch point for me to really take on, well, to be curious and to take on an exploration kind of, what's in here? What am I supposed to learn? Like, oh, what's around this corner? And what if I, went to this grocery store in this neighborhood? Maybe they would have a different product that I'm not used to.
Mm-hmm.
Just starting to step out of my comfort zone and do those different things, it opened my mind up to, what is it that I don't know?
Right.
And one of the things I learned about myself is I don't know is, one, I don't know what healthy love looks like. Two, I don't know what healthy fighting looks like. But three, I don't know what thriving looks like. I know what just surviving looks like. So what does thriving look like? And I had to find people out there in the world who were doing those things. But it came from a place of conversation to really understand, are they are the people that I'm surrounding myself with. There's a quote in my book, and I'm going to butcher it, so please forgive me. And it's by someone that we know that's a famous person. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Basically, it says, that we're the five closest people. We are the five
We're the
closest
sum
people.
of the five
Yeah,
people. We
we're the
keep.
sum
Yep. Yep.
of the five closest people. And I was like, who are my five? Okay, so are they thriving?
Mm-hmm.
Do they know what healthy love looks like? What are they doing for healthy fighting? What is that? And when I started to like really dive in and look at that, I was like, okay, I just need a different circle. Not saying that my people that were in that circle were bad or wrong or anything. It was, I need more circles
Hmm.
that were different than me because I needed to be able to see something that I had never seen before and
Right.
experience things I hadn't experienced before in a positive way. And that is what really helped shift my mindset, but also shift where I was in life.
Yeah. Now, a lot of these principles you've talked about, they all involve, it feels like, being vulnerable, which I know you said even for you was that kind of tougher hurdle. And I know for me, for so many people that I speak with and work with, that vulnerability part, getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
How can someone start maybe approaching that? Because I think that's the scariest part, even when it comes to asking for help. No one wants to, put their guard down to show it's not all together. I need help.
Well, I'll share two things about it because I've gotten some tools that might help, and then I'll share what I went through. So in Fearless Living, they have like if you make a circles on a page, if you make a little circle in the middle, and then a circle around that, and then a circle around that, and a circle around that. So in the middle is your comfort zone,
Hmm.
right? And then outside of that is a stretch, and outside of that is a risk, and outside
Okay.
of that is a die. Like absolutely, I would die of embarrassment if I had to do that.
Hmm.
And just being able to go, okay, instead of focusing on the die, like public speaking, like telling somebody that you are sorry or that you love them in the first time, those would be dies for some people.
Hmm.
I have one person who it would be a die for her to tell her husband that she's not okay.
Hmm.
One of my clients. And so for her or for us, it's like, okay, so let's take a step back and go, okay, what would be a stretch? What's
Right.
one small step? What's a tiny step that we could take out of our comfort zone to kind of go towards that rather than just taking a full leap
Hmm.
into the die zone? So that's the tools that you can use, and what I did, the things that I said to myself that kind of got me inspired to take those vulnerable steps out of the comfort zone was really thinking about, I believe again, it's another quote, Martin Luther King Jr. He says something to the effect of, when you're taking a step, look at the next step rather than the entire staircase.
Mm, yep.
And I thought, okay, so how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time,
Right.
right? And it was like those little nuggets that I would remind myself, like, okay, what's one small step I can take that's different for me today? Because
Hmm.
if I only do what I know, I'll only get what I have been getting. So if I
Hmm.
want something new, I need to do something new. So what is the one thing new that I could do?
Right. And definitely starting small is the best way to start new habits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. So your book, you mentioned your book. What is the title of your book? What does it cover and how can people find it?
Yeah. So it's called How to Get Your Voice Back, and you can get it on Amazon. I believe you can also get it on my website
Hmm.
as well. It's basically a journal prompt. So I had been journaling for 20 something years, and funny story, I had a journal in middle school and high school for English class, and I hated it, but I was so stupid. So
I know.
I actually put a dedication to my English teachers in the book because now here I am, writing a
Right.
journal prompt book, and I'm like, oh, it makes sense now. But what I started to do was talk about this negative voice, right? So that was something that I really had to learn how to understand. So as I'm telling my clients, they're like, well, how did you know that your voice was negative and not positive? And I said, well, I started journaling and I did a thing called a brain dump where I
Mm.
capture all my thoughts, all of them, whatever they are, even if they're like, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is stupid, whatever, right? Just write them down. And what I found is that I was so mean to myself. It was like I was bullying myself, right?
Hmm. I
So
do
much
that.
that I thought, whew, after I read it, after I wrote it down, I was like, whew, I would not say that to my worst enemy.
Hmm.
And yet I'm saying it to myself. I'll wonder I'm not propelling forward. I'll wonder I'm kind of feeling stuck in the muck of life. And so the first thing I'll tell you in the book is about capturing your thoughts.
Hmm.
And then it's going into more of affirmations and things like that. And then it's going into learning or finding those different circles. And a lot of times they might be mentors or leaders or someone that you aspire to that's online. You might not even know them personally, but you like their positive characteristics and then
Yes.
focusing on that. So,
People can absolutely mentor you indirectly. I don't think that gets
yeah.
talked about and used enough.
I agree. I agree. And, something I just actually said on another podcast recently was about mentors that no longer serve you. And it's like, yeah, there's plenty of mentors that no longer serve me. And that's the great part about growing is
Mm-hmm.
that you then get to choose what you want to take forward from them. No, no hard feelings, no foul, no nothing,
Right.
right? Just thank you. Thank you for getting me to this point. And now I'm over here. And, you're still one of my dear, near and dear to my heart. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. People who don't even know you, you're like, oh, and I read this about this person, and that really inspired me. And I feel like they mentor me, especially now with
Oh,
all
yeah.
of the amazing, inspirational people that have, platforms online,
Absolutely.
like yourself.
Podcasts, you too, you feel like you
Right,
know the person,
right.
so they are still absolutely guiding you.
Right, like yourself, you're
Mhm.
putting out content and you're inspiring and you're motivating and you're giving such great touch points that it's like, oh my gosh, yes, Daniela is inspiring me. Yes, I want to be like her. Yes, I want her as a mentor, even though I'm never going to tell her that, that type of thing. But you can literally watch on everything
Mhm.
now and take nuggets from everyone. That's what I think we're in a beautiful time in the world right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you so much. That's so sweet of you to say.
Of course.
So how can people work with you as as their mentor? How can people find you?
Yeah, thank you. You can go to my website at shasparks.com. That's SHASPARKS.com. You can find me on social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram,
Mhm. And the name of
Threads,
your
Twitter.
podcast?
Oh, the name of the podcast is The
Yeah.
Shā Sparks Show.
Okay.
And yeah, you can find it on there. But if I forget to leave me a message on one of those instant or one of the social medias
Mhm.
and tell me you heard me on Daniela's show, I would love to connect.
Absolutely. And all those links will be live in the show notes below. So go check out her podcast as well. Get a copy of her book, start journaling, start listening to, you know, what your true desire really is. Drop the mean girls in your head, which are what I call my voices,
Love it.
and, start finding that kind, true self to listen to. So thank you so much, Shay, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.